Raul, want to add something on the pushback? You're maybe the smallest come from the startup side of things.
Yeah, I was actually about to say I'm usually pitching to enterprises like this, and the feedback we've received, I think there's a quote that really embodies it that talks about the blockchain industry. Empires are not built where stones are thrown from, but rather where they land. And I think the blockchain industry has been damn near stoned to death with criticism, and somehow it's prevailed and been resilient. And it comes down to the trust, and even what Ivan said about the simplicity of what's being presented, right? And when you can really simplify what blockchain can do for an enterprise, it really comes down to two things: quality of life and financial benefit. Why would a company use a product if it's not already improving a service that they're providing to their customers? If you can't even meet that simple criteria and you can't explain it properly and show them why this route is better, the conversation ends there. But then the second that comes with it is the financial incentive. Yeah. Am I making money from making this transition? How much money is it going to cost me to go from A to B? And when those two elements meet and they can be explained properly, it goes less from a mentality of, this tech is too complicated, I don't trust it, it's going to cost me a lot. And they stop throwing the stones at you, and you start to say, oh wow, this can actually save me a lot of money in the long run. I was a quality engineer for almost 13 years, and root cause analysis was essentially what I did every day. And it always just came down to cost savings, right? You can live with a problem for only so long until it starts to be so counterproductive that you lose money everywhere else. And I think simplifying the solution and then showing why it's financially advantageous for them is essentially where you're able to overcome that criticism and that pushback.
Web3 native company, a couple of questions. One, can you explain the audience what exactly you do? And second, how are you integrating the legacy into your blockchain business, the other way around?
Yeah, absolutely. So at Nuvola, we're essentially in the cloud storage and compute industry. We're about to launch our partner chain, which essentially provides the backend storage to our Web2 applications called Nuvola Drive. In many ways, it's a direct competitor to Google. That is a very bold statement, but it's the reality of it, right? And what we've seen essentially with AWS going down is how dependent the entire world is on 2 or 3 names. And that dependency creates a lot of issues when unforeseen issues arise. So the current system is essentially a house on one pillar. Let's talk about AWS. That pillar went down, the house collapsed, and everybody was kind of screwed, for lack of better terms. In blockchain, what we're presenting with our model is that same house, so that same service of cloud storage and compute, but instead of on one pillar, it's on 1,000 pillars. And those 1,000 pillars are a permissionless blockchain environment, decentralized, where anyone can contribute. So we've created a blockchain that's open to the public, that anyone can help contribute these services, which creates a more robust backend, globally distributed network that is not just going to go out overnight. So enterprises that can integrate into our cloud storage and compute solutions would essentially have that comfort knowing if one pillar goes out, there's 999 in its place to keep the house up and running. So you almost would not feel the effects of it. That is the beauty of decentralization. Now, it's a lot easier said than done, because migrating from the big players to a more decentralized environment has plenty of obstacles, right? But that's why we built the Web2 side of it with Nuvola Drive and many other features to come with that, so that it feels and has that familiarity, which Ivan, you said before about simplicity. You guys already know how to use Nuvola Drive, every single one in this room, and you've never even seen the app. It's literally that familiar and that simple, and it provides you all the beauty of blockchain. And the second question, how would we integrate?
How are you integrating with the legacy systems, with the Web2?
Yeah, so it also goes back to that initial statement I made about the simplicity and then the financial incentive. Right now, cloud storage to everybody on the face of the planet outside of the providers is an expense. And no matter what, to run your phones and your computers, you need it. It's literally air for your devices. And our model, with the beauty of blockchain and decentralized cloud storage, allows us to take an expense and turn it into an income stream. What do I mean by that? Any enterprise can essentially establish a node infrastructure globally that they provide internally to their own organization or globally to their customers, and they can monetize the revenues as they flow in from a paid service. This happens from our front end, and it's all powered by the back end. And it takes essentially the Google or the AWS model where money enters in and circulates within four walls and stays there. They control the expansion of the network, they control the direction. It takes that model and flips it upside down because now money flows in from the users and it's being transferred over to the people that are providing the network to be sustained globally as a service. So a company that has, let's say, tens to 20 million users can start to provide the service as a benefit to another service they already provide and establish a node infrastructure on the back end and monetize it in totality. So somebody that is essentially spending millions a year on cloud storage services can now turn that into an income stream to them. So not only are you saving, because the service is more cheap, not more cheap, it's more efficient because of the back end. There's no hardware that you need to maintain. It's just essentially pushed out to the public for them to absorb that. And they're also incentivized as well. So the simplicity of the service is there from the product we provide on the front end. And then the beauty of the decentralization and the blockchain is there as well. And it all gets wrapped into this financial benefit of you need this service anyway to survive and live out your day to day. But now you get to monetize it just like the big players do. So it's not, I wouldn't call it, the big bang, like revolutionary kind of element to it. It's just reshuffling a model that's worked for 5 players and making it a globally distributed economic model. And I recently did a case study. I'm from Italy. I live in Italy. Per annum, Italy spends about $120 billion on cloud storage services. As a nation, if you really think about it, and this is very forward thinking, as a nation, they could establish through our network, through the blockchain itself, a node infrastructure internally for their citizens. And instead of outpaying or having that as an expense to a foreign entity, 115 billion to wherever it's going, it's now recirculating inside the economy. And this goes on many layers below blockchain or outside of blockchain where now taxes could be drafted differently. You could give different benefits to your citizens. Like we could get extremely creative with how this model frees up a ton of capital, right? The friction point is that the big players are the big players. They are so embedded in everyone's lives that it's like, how do you remove that element? But between the simplicity and the ease of use of our product with our blockchain robust in the background, plus the financial incentives, it starts to make that conversation more of a, this actually does make sense. So that's essentially how we're approaching it.